While I'm not a man of the people, I am a man of the individual. And what I've seen increasingly over the past few months is something that is worth addressing, because the essential quality that seems to be emanating in the spirit of the time is that me inadvertently challenging the monopoly of religion, of political ideas. I'm not even, very political on this channel, but I'm inadvertently challenging these subtleties of the consciousness and the collective. But subtle is the path to timelessness. And if we do not have the courage to speak the truth into being, it's not to say that the truth will be lost necessarily, and it's not to say that anything will be lost, because this is all a show. The world is a great stage, and people come and go off the stage and on the stage. There's main characters and there's side characters, etc. And it really doesn't make any difference. One of the reasons why I like to have a communicative experience with the people in my audience, and then I will block you if you are disrespectful or have ad hominems and such toward my character. You try to assassinate my character, you try to be the moral police, you can go fuck yourself. This is not happening on this channel. We do not force anybody to believe or do or think anything, because we do not believe in thought crime. That is communism. Communism is what happens where you try to scour, you investigate the way that people think or the way that people behave, and then try to say, ha, gotcha. Now that's fucking communism, and we're not fucking communists here. So if you want to think that I'm just a curious guy trying to get to know you, but you're not genuine. You're not genuine in your curiosity. You're trying to investigate. You can go somewhere else. Because I don't feel well about this stuff. I have enough shit going on in my own life to where if I have to live in a certain way to try to make you feel like, my projection of you needs to be the same. This is not that type of channel. I aim to be as strategically disciplined as possible while not being attached to the strategically disciplinary actions. I aim to live the truth and let die what is false through godlike mastery education. I have a Regal Academy where we are giving people spiritual truths and knowledge in a way that's never been done before. We're condensing information to make it more digestible for people that maybe have never read Plato or Aristotle, or, I just released The Art of Seduction again. Now we're having these classes kind of cycle in and out of the academy. We have a creative digital sandbox available for those that want to participate. And I will not be told how much of a terrible person I am or how much of a terrible being I am simply because I'm trying to make the world a better place. I'm making people more rich internally. I'm making people more aware of themselves. I'm helping people notice what it's like to be who they are as they are. And there's a lot of stuff going on in everybody's life. I get it. And I have compassion for these people. But if you think that we're not going to stand our ground just because we're the black sheep in this whole cosmic gag reel, just because we're the black sheep doesn't mean that we're not going to stand for what's true to the best of our ability. Now, truth is a tricky thing, right? Truth is a tricky thing to talk about, because one person can have a perception of truth and one person have a perception of truth, and it totally contradicts one another. But I say unto you that the soul of existence, God, is so awesome and so cool that you can have multiple perspectives of axiomatic truths, and it can still be what it's going to be for each of us. Seemingly contradicting, seemingly juxtaposing one another. That's how amazing the soul of existence is. And your insistence on being the moral police, your insistence on trying to be these people out here that are trying to control. You're part of the matrix, man. You're part of the matrix. And to all of the women that have messaged me about my recent videos regarding women, or commented about, well, it's men too. Hey, well, you know what? Maybe you need to take a look in the mirror. You're making my point about how retarded women are. Because if you listen to my videos, I say, yeah, men are pretty retarded too. Or I say men definitely have a lot of things that they need to work on too. But we're not talking about the men right now. We're talking about the women. Because I'm sick of seeing men treated as second-class citizens. I'm sick of seeing men treated like they don't matter. That they don't have feelings. We're human beings just like anybody else. And the reason why the simulation doesn't want men to be strong and to be capable is because if we were, then the beta cucks wouldn't have anybody to mate with. That's the thing. They wouldn't have anything to mate with or anyone to mate with. After practicing semen retention for years now, and I'm not necessarily a monogamist, but I'm not necessarily a polygynist. There is a difference between polygyny, and monogamy, of course. Polygyny is when the man has multiple women, but the women don't have multiple men. Polygamy is when it's like a free-for-all, basically. I'm not a polygamist. But you know what? Polygyny doesn't sound like a bad idea. It really doesn't. And as far as I'm concerned, the most strong men I've ever seen deserve more than one woman. Not because they just deserve more than one woman, because the beta cucks don't deserve any of them. They've made life so difficult for us godlike mastery initiates, and the people trying to just be and live, that they're snakes, bro. They're snakes. And they're trying to manipulate the women to act in a certain way to berate the men so that men don't get to have a wholesome life. Now, I'm not saying that like I'm living holy anymore, because I'm not a holy person. I'm a whole person. I'm not a holy person. I don't claim holiness, because I used to think that being in my spiritual niche, I used to think that being a spiritual practitioner, a godlike mastery practitioner, someone who offers godlike mastery, who's living by example, who is celibate, I have to be holy. I have to be holy. If somebody books a call with me, I've got to be holy. On Sundays at 2 p.m. my time, which is Mountain Standard, we have the Regal Academy group calls. And I used to think that, I didn't realize that I thought this way. It was more unconscious, but I was able to put it into words more recently, over the last few months, where it's like, oh, I have to be holy now. Like I have to, all right. And I didn't want to have this restoration of the persona necessarily. Like Carl Jung talks quite a lot about, well, he didn't talk a lot about it, but he did briefly mention the restoration of the persona. Now, what I would aim to identify is the idea of the restoration of the timeline. So this can look like your old timeline you're trying to restore because the ego doesn't know how to handle the functions going forward, or it could be the restoration of a new timeline in which it was already there, you just had to do certain things to restore it. And the thing that I'm noticing more and more in this day and age is that people are trying to, instead of restoring a new timeline for themselves or even an old timeline for themselves, what they're trying to do is they're trying to project the narrative structure and timeline that they think that you should be on onto you, because, well, They see your social media, they see this, they see that. Social media has been one of the greatest blessings of my life, don't get me wrong. I love social media. I love the tool. I love it as a tool. It's like forgiveness. Forgiveness is a weapon if you know how to use it. Right? Forgiveness is a weapon. Like, there's a reason why Maharaji, who is Ram Dass's guru, he said that forgiveness is the greatest weapon of any saint. And Jesus Christ on the cross, the guy says, forgive them, they know not what they do. That was basically spiritual warfare. Because spiritual warfare is existing. We're in a spiritual fight whether we want to be or not. Now, you can orient yourself from timelessness and you can just live in timelessness. And yes, you can. You can be in nirvana. It's totally possible. It's possible that anything's possible. I'm of that proclivity in the spirit of this time. However, it takes great compassion of a being to take form and to come back and be one with the people that, because it's us, you know, the soul of existence is us, and we're the soul of existence. I and the Father are one, Jesus Christ says, and that's exactly what's happening. We are, like, he was just being straight up, as far as my interpretation goes. Now, people may disagree with that, that's fine. We're not here to debate. Religionists, go fuck yourself. I'm done talking to religionists. I will block you. I will block you so quick. If you try to debate me, if you try to use your questions disguised as personal attacks or character assassination attempts, you can go fuck yourself. I do not care about debating anymore. I'm going to live my best life. I'm going to be the godlike mastery education. I'm going to pursue the Regal Academy. I'm going to give life to the people again, because we've been so constrained for so long and we don't even know it. We have no idea how constrained we've been. And yet, for all this intense purposes, we have but love to give. That's all it is. We only have but love to give. And so many of you are so focused on the dogmatism, not realizing that you're basically a religious communist. Oh, but I hate the commies. No, you don't, obviously, because you're tyrannical in your thought police. You know, there's a, let's see, where is it? I don't know if you can see this book. Yeah, the Gulag Archipelago. In the Gulag Archipelago, which is a story about the Russian concentration camps by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. In the Gulag Archipelago, there was these blue caps. They were basically like undercover police, if I remember right. And these undercover police would act as though they were your friends. And when you're in the middle of the town square, chilling with your wife, your friend comes over and sees how you're doing. Now note that nobody had any weapons on them. Nobody had any ability to protect themselves. They would drag you away from your wife in the middle of the town square, you know, because this was in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. So with the concentration camps for the Bolsheviks and all that. And they would take you away and nobody would do anything. Because the people felt so oppressed psychologically that they had no clue how to actually stand up for themselves. They were convinced that what they do doesn't matter. And that's where we're at, in a certain type of way. And, you know, it's part of the melodrama of life, of course. You know, it's part of the melodrama. Don't get too caught up in it, but also recognize that you're a part of it. You know, it's like, remember in Lord of the Rings, when Merry and Pippin are talking to the Ents, and the Ents basically decide, like, well, this is not our war. You know, it's not our war. So we're going to stay out of it. And then Merry, when they're taken when Treebeard is taking back Merry and Pippin to to the Shire, to the edge of the forest, so that they can go home to the Shire. Merry says, "Oh no, take us down south," and then the Ent Treebeard says, "Down south? Well, that'll lead you past Isengard. Where Saruman is." Yeah. And why did they want to do that? Because they wanted to show Treebeard that it is their war. They have done so much to their land. Saruman has destroyed all of their friends and all that. So it's only when Treebeard sees, like, oh, the evil wizard now has taken all the trees and killed my friends. Oh, this is like our war. This is it. And that's when Treebeard calls the Ents, and the Ents come in. And it's just so cool, and they go and they fight Saruman in Isengard. And the Ents end up winning. At least that battle, right? So, I don't believe in absolute evil. I don't really believe in absolute good either, though. I just trust that I am absolutely good in timelessness, because I know that's my true nature, is just awareness. But I also am aware that while I'm in form with you all, we have to fight. And you can either roll over and die before you even die, or it's are we gonna win? Are we gonna win against these? I don't know if we're destined to win or not. I mean, I've had certain visions and such, and I don't think it matters. What matters is, are you willing to be true to the best of your ability and be as conscious as you are, as totally as you are, where you are as you are. That's what really matters. I have no idea what I'm going to title this. I have no idea because I'm just feeling it, man. Like, come on, guys. We have so much to live for, and there's so much to create, and we can bring heaven on earth. I'm not saying that should be like the goal per se, because life is its own goal, as Osho says, right? And I trust that that's the case. But so it's this multiple planes of consciousness is the antidote here. Live on multiple planes of consciousness, but recognize it is what it is. And I mean, my whole brand of Regal Change, Regal Shaman, the Regal Academy, all of these things are godlike mastery. It's all branded around being a lion. It's all branded about the lion spirit, because the lions, even when they're outnumbered, do they fight? Absolutely. They do not run. They do not run. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Is, all right, well, they think that they can take away our land, our resources, our birthrights, our divine connection. They have no idea that we're just getting started. So peace be with you, be blessed, and until next time.